Hi, welcome to Stat Sisters. My name is Carrie, and I talk each week with my sister Erin about all things nursing, with the occasional Harry Potter thrown in. We talk about the nursing topics that you care about. We also chat about nurses in the news, and most importantly, answer your questions. Good morning, Erin. How are you doing?
I am pretty good today. How are you?
I am super excited about today
I
and talking to you.
Thanks. I think we've got some really good topics. We've got some fun topics. There's one that especially that I really like. Because once I got thinking about it, I was like,
Me
oh,
too.
oh yeah. So
So, how's the family
we're
doing?
good. Everybody is gearing up for Christmas break coming up, and so there's like the end of year concerts and performances, and which of course makes things really busy. But they're so fun to go watch and to see the kids doing all those things. So all those little mom moments I get to enjoy. So we're good. We're living it.
Uh, That's so nice. And we're doing the same thing over here. And we actually did Gingerbread House Village tonight,
I still have to
which
see
is
pictures
fun.
of the finished
And
product.
oh, I need to send it to you. I should put it on our what's it called? Our Instagram. It's it was so stressful because
It kind of is because mine are always caving in on each other,
yes,
and then the kids
yes.
are like,
So
ah.
like I was trying to be like fun mom, like, oh, this is great. What a great tradition. And then like Drew especially was like putting more and more of the gumdrop stuff on there.
Oh,
And I was like,
gumdrops are like
Drew,
death.
it's gonna yeah, they're really really heavy. I'm like, Drew, it's gonna be too heavy. Drew, maybe that's enough. Drew, you ruined it.
Eh.
And then he's like so sad. He's like, "Mom, can you fix it?" I'm like, "Yes,
Mm.
yes, I can."
Oh,
And
poor
then like
sweetie.
right after that, Ashton was like approaching the like max capacity too, and I was like, "Remember what we just talked about with Drew?" He's like, "Oh
This is a
yeah, I'm
physics
done." I'm
lesson
like,
at the same
"Okay."
time. Good job, Ashton. Good call, buddy. I know our village has been done for a couple weeks now because we did it when Grandma and Grandpa were here. It's kind of become a tradition, and it's slowly losing its. There things are getting picked off of it. I'm like,
Oh
oh, the
yes.
candy's been sitting there for weeks.
Well, ours is going to be fresh. I said that they need to, like, I gave them a mandate. You have to have them be gone by the time we leave
Oh,
for our Christmas
see, and
vacation.
I guess
So they were all
I'm
over
a
it.
fuddy duddy mom because if we just spent all that flippin' time and stress making them, I don't let him eat them right away. And then by the time I'm like, okay, fine, it's probably been sitting out for a week, and that's just nasty. And so ours don't ever get eaten, and they usually just get thrown away. I'm a bad mom. Anyways,
Oh,
whatever. I'm over
well,
it.
oh well. They had fun doing
Exactly.
it.
And I don't like gingerbread, so to me it was never an appeal. And half the time I do for like myself, I'll just do graham crackers. But after all that work, I don't want to destroy it because then it looks like trash.
No, why eat something that's edible? Just throw it away.
Shush. Anyways,
So what topics do
what
you have for us
what are we
today?
talking about today? Let's move on. Stop it. Picking on me. So today we are talking about this is the one I'm so excited. Doo, 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 doo. Superstitions in nursing and medicine. Because oh boy, we have a whole bunch.
What? We don't have
Not
superstitions.
at all. We're as bad as Major League Baseball players, girl.
Yeah, JK, I know we do. So what do
And
you
go.
think is the number one?
The Q word. The Q word. All the way.
Yes, I would have to agree.
Like, wow, it's sure been a slow day around here.
Yeah, never ever say quiet.
Oh, I do it all because I'm a butt, so I do. And I'm like, no, you know what? It has been a quiet day. My shift's been quite quiet. I think it's been. And people are like, shush! And I'm like,
I
"Mwah."
actually get a little annoyed sometimes because people like will shush you and stuff, like if you
Yes.
say it.
I'm like,
And I'm
really?
like, really?
Do you think there's some like
Stop
nursing
your
god up
magical
there?
thinking.
I know,
Like,
coming from us.
yeah. Like what you say doesn't actually have power like to change the census, but
Exactly,
we
but it
I
does.
used to say this sometimes I would say it on purpose, like when I worked on the medical floor, because if our
Yes.
census got too low, then we would get sent home, and I wanted money.
I know, right? You're like, yeah, short day. But no,
Oh
absolutely. I say the
gosh,
number one, hands down, saying it's quiet.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But I find that when I'm having a good day, and I'm like, the minute I think, this is how powerful my magic is. The minute I think that wow, it's a great day, we get slammed with
Oh, see, and
something.
this is the one, if I had to pick one, and it is certainly the most popular. If I had to pick one, this is the one I would say I laugh in the face of because I know legitimately there's no way that it affects it. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. So I don't buy into this one. But I buy into most of the rest. But dang it, I'm making a stand. I just don't think so. But a lot of people, oh my good golly, they will like lynch mob you, like with
Yes.
pitchforks.
At least at the very minimal, they will browbeat you from the nursing station.
Yes, and throw saline flushes or something,
Yes.
and cast warning glares at you. Okay, what else? I want to like
Okay.
word
So,
association game next.
okay. So in labor and delivery, when you think that a vaginal delivery is less likely to happen, you start preparing for a C-section
Yes.
by bringing in the paperwork, bringing in the medications, and kind of just having it around. You haven't even talked to the patient about it yet.
No,
And we
and they're
don't want to go to the OR. We don't want
right.
to go there.
No.
But it's like warding off evil. Like if you have the papers, it's just like a charm against going to the
Yes.
OR.
Yes. It totally
Because
is.
if you weren't prepared, that's when you seem to go.
I know. And obviously, it's totally our warped perception. But, dude, in our mind, this warding off of evil spirits, it happens. You girls in L&D don't own it. It happens everywhere. All the time. When I go and check a TCB on a baby that I think the Billy is going to be high, I am always like, I'm going to ward off evil spirits. And I'm bringing that little green microtainer so I can just like catch it if I need to. Because, granted, Murphy's Law, darn you, Murphy, if I don't have that microtainer with me, my Billy's going to be like 72 or something. And I'm going to
Yep.
have to go hunt down a microtainer. The kid will have clotted, and I have to poke this newborn all over again. So, yeah, I always carry the extra vials in your pocket. Gosh, what else do we do to ward off evil spirits? I'm totally drawing a blank, but we do it a lot.
Well, I know when I was a charge nurse, um, you learn quickly that some certain nurses do not like certain rooms.
Yes.
And sometimes it's not even their preference. Sometimes, like a nurse in a room, they're just a bad combo. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to have a problem
It's
if I put this
totally
nurse in
true.
this room again.
It's true. And like nurses and certain physicians, when they're both on the black cloud people, oh my gosh, dude,
Yes.
we have black cloud physicians, and I'm like, oh crap. It's going to be a poop storm today. They
Yes.
just attract it like magnets. But it
Oh
is.
my
It's.
gosh.
Go
Every
ahead.
time so me and this MFM, whenever we see each other at the beginning of the shift and we just happen to be working the same day, we both like just look at each other. We're like, oh no. Like, it's going
And
to
it's usually.
be transfers from
I
like
know.
crazy town all day.
And it's usually people you really like working with.
Oh my gosh, I love her.
I
She's
know.
great.
And you're just like, dang it. So So here's the thing. Do you think your psyches are that powerful that you like draw this to you because you're anticipating it? Or
No,
do you just think
no.
you're more aware of it? Like,
Exactly. It's you're just more aware of it. Like maybe like the first time it happened, it was random and but we like remembered it was us together and so, you
right.
know, and plus it's just circumstance because we work a lot of Fridays together and that just happens to be a very busy day.
Right. And I think we make associations too. And once you associate with something, you just are you're hyper aware of it. Like every time I'm pregnant, all of a sudden there's like way more pregnant women in the world because
Yes.
I'm looking at it. So certainly your perception does it. But yes, sometimes, like you said, going back to the room thing, maybe it like, and my room thing, it will move, it will change for a while. Like today I actually worked on my old floor for a little bit and I was in a room that I'm like, dude, I remember some really nasty crap going down in this room, and for a while it was not a happy room for me, and it seemed like for weeks it just kept coming in that room, but now it was fine. And so there's other, it's like it kind of just moves around, and like you said, sometimes it's not the nurse's preference, it just like poop, it just rains on her in that room or him. So
Speaking of rain, that's another thing.
yes.
When there's rain, snow, ice, any like weird weather thing,
Hmm.
hurricanes, anything, we just know that the floodgates are going to open and we're going
Yes.
to have all types of patients come in. And we can just like count on it. And like kind of along this lines, like I put on our list rodeo because in Houston, rodeo is a season of the
Yeah.
year.
Here
It
it's football
lasts
season.
for weeks. Well, we have football season too.
Right,
But
but I'm just saying.
rodeo follows football season, and it is like you just know you're gonna get a ton of people in triage that are dehydrated
You're gonna
and
get the randomest
contracting.
crap. No,
Yeah.
definitely. And you think, or they wait. Oh, this is my best. Is it's like, well, we were in the playoffs, and we would always know, especially my husband when he worked in the ER. Like they would know, like, oh, it's been a quiet Saturday afternoon, but BSU's still playing, and this is Bronco Nation, guys. So when nobody's leaving, they don't care if grandma's AFibbing over there in the corner. She's gonna friggin' wait until that fourth quarter is done, and then we are bringing her to the ER. And as soon as the game ended, bam, hallelujah, here they come. I mean, it was like we are gonna wait at home, and then when it's done, we're gonna go in droves. We're gonna carpool to the ER. And so, yeah, absolutely. So, but when you put rodeo, I thought you meant like we're gonna rodeo a patient. Like, hey, we're gonna do this because there's that
No,
too,
I mean actual rodeo.
like the one with actual horses and cows.
Yep.
Okay, let's see what else. What's the worst that could happen?
Why would you ever say that?
I know, right? Because you hate yourself and all your coworkers. I I might have said that in my career, honestly, because I'm kind of a git like that. What's the worst that
No,
could
I
happen?
totally. I say that all the time. That's one of my coping mechanisms.
That's not a good thing to do at work because then the god of medicine's like, oh, really? You want to know? Bam! Here you go.
What about the full moon?
Oh, that doesn't work. Psh, next. Yes, in so many ways. In fact, that was when my husband was like, full moon in the ER. He was like, deer in headlights, look. Yes. I know there's a huge old wives' tale, I guess you could say, with this in labor and delivery. Care to explain?
Yeah, it has something to do with water breaking, the
And like the
pressure, like
tides.
the tides and everything. But really, it's more of the whack, like the waning moon. So like right, like a couple of days after the full moon is like when it's supposed to be the most powerful. Um, but it seems like anytime that there's like a barometric change, like a big barometric change in the pressure of the atmosphere, people just come in with their water ruptured, but they're not in labor. So I really think that's not a superstition. I think that's like physics. People's water break.
All right. Hashtag choreo. That's 18 to 24 hours later.
Yeah.
So for me, since I work postpartum, but I'm not a labor nurse, full moon in our house means the crazies come out of the woodwork. Something triggers that inner like cuckoo cuckoo werewolf gene, and oh good heavens, and they like bring their cousin with them. It's just, they show up and you're like, what's your chief complaint again?
I'm crazy.
Oh. And how long has that been going on? 2 weeks. All right. And you
But it
just
became an emergency
decided,
right this minute.
Exactly. You decided you had to come in now at 9 p.m. on a Friday. Why? Oh, because it's a full moon. That's right. And
Yeah, and I
life
Googled
hates
it.
me. And I Googled it. Dr. Google told me I was dying. So here I am. And I brought my cousin Bubba. Jethro. There we go. Nope, it's Jethro now. Sorry, all the Jethros out there that are good, productive, intelligent members of society. Love you.
I know. Totally disparaged a whole like name.
I know. I'm an awful person like that. What's the worst that could happen?
I think that out of the 10 people that listen to this podcast, I doubt that there's a Jethro. Just
I
saying.
think that was probably our biggest potential sponsor, and I just screwed it.
Dang it.
Dang it, Aaron. Okay.
JJ's awake. I don't know why. I hope I haven't been keeping him up.
Way to go. Bad wifey.
Okay, what about a lucky pen?
Oh, yes. Or lucky socks.
Yes.
Yes, I don't know if I have lucky socks. I have favorite socks, but there's a nurse, Gina, that I love. Hey, Gina. She totally has her lucky socks. She's got a couple pairs, actually. And one of them, they're hilarious. So they're knee highs, and they're not compression socks. Naughty. But they're knee highs, and the top of it look like a knee high, like a sock, but the rest of it is a hairy leg with Band-Aids on it.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
They're awesome. But they are some of her lucky socks. And when she wears them, she's like, boom, and she's like hiking up her scrub pants to her knee at the desk. And,
Oh my gosh.
I've got my lucky socks on today. So yeah, lucky socks, lucky pins. And if you lose that lucky pin, great land of mighty, people better watch out.
Oh no, don't touch a nurse's pen.
Mm-mm. They will shank you.
I have a personal one that is not universal, but I have it.
Okay.
And that is I have pearls that I wear only when I am anticipating a very stressful day. And so if you ever see me wearing pearls, it means that I already am starting off.
Stressing out.
That means I'm already starting off thinking that it's going to be a bad day, but I'm determined to have a good day.
That is so funny because I see you wearing your pearls, and I never realized there was a correlation. I just thought like, oh, Carrie's fancy today.
No.
I mean, you don't like wearing them with your scrubs because that'd be really gross. But
Well, no, I do sometimes.
do you really?
I do. Yeah, it's like my talisman.
How can you like clean your pearls? Can you sanitize those?
I just don't
Get
you know,
amniotic
touch
fluid
them.
on them?
I don't clutch my pearls during the shift, okay?
You're
I
not
just
using it
don't
like a
tou-
rosary.
No.
So talismans, though, that's a whole nother one. People have like their special badge holders, or like you said, their lucky pins. What other talismans have you seen?
I don't know. Does a stethoscope count?
Well, you've got to have like your favorite one. I mean, or I see people like their fanny pack is kind of a talisman, or they always have to have their alcohol swabs in their pocket. Like, we get very particular about our pockets. And like, if I don't have my red pen, my black pen, my alcohol swabs, my my brain, my chapstick, and a ponytail holder, like my day's gonna be crap. I just tell you right now.
Oh no, I need chapstick.
Yes,
I have
to
3
have
tubes
it.
of it in my desk.
You're worse than I am. I'm constantly losing mine, and I'm so addicted to it. And my husband is just he just rolls his eyes. But yeah, so I kind of like, I don't have a talisman, but if I have my things, and if I don't have my things, I'm just like, oh Nelly, here it goes. Okay. What else?
Well, tell us, everybody comment and let us know what superstitions you have or what talismans you have, and share because I think we touched on some universal ones, but I'm sure that there are ones that we've missed. So let us know which ones we've missed. And you can do
Absolutely.
that on SoundCloud, our website, statsisters.com. You can go to our Facebook page, which is super fun, facebook.com/statsisters. Or where else are
Yes.
we? We're on
We're on
Instagram.
Instagram. We're on Jinx. We're on YouTube. We're on statsisters@gmail if you just want to just flat out email us. But yeah, let us know, what are your superstitions? Do you guys have like a ritual on your floor or at your hospital? And they could even be good things, honestly. Do you after you've had I've seen things like after a code, some places do like a moment of silence. And that's a good ritual as a respect kind of thing. So what are your
Yeah,
rituals?
that's nice.
Isn't that I saw that one time in the news and I thought I'm going to institute that in my next code. I think that's really great. But what are your rituals?
Well,
What
I
are your
think it's terrible
superstitions?
that you're waiting like anxiously for the next code and you're so
I'm
excited so
not.
you can do this new thing.
I'm not anxiously waiting for my next code. In fact, I'm hoping I don't have one anytime soon. But in the event, I'm prepared to pay my respects. In the event,
Okay.
and it's unfavorable. Let me add that too. Hopefully,
Well,
my
it
code
probably
will go
is
well.
good either way. Either way
Yes.
would be a good idea.
You're derailing this here, Carrie.
I'm sorry. Okay, so why don't we talk about our sponsors?
Hold on, I'm not done yet, woman.
Oh, I
I
thought we
was
went through the whole list.
No, I was gonna say something. Hang on. Oh, and my husband found an awesome. We'll be putting a clip on our website, on our blog at statsisters.com, of a locker room ritual from Scrubs that they would go through. It was their superstition. If they didn't do this before their shift, they thought it was just, your shift was going to be a total loss. And I found it was hilarious. So you can go to our blog and get a good laugh off of that one at statsisters.com. So, and let us know what your superstitions are, because I think they're fabulous. And now we can talk about our sponsors.
Okay.
My
I don't know what they are.
sponsors. My sponsor would be the moon. We are sponsored by the moon and all its crazy pulls and tides and gravitational whatnots and everything it brings us.
Very nice. Well, I'm just fresh out.
Okay, dude, you gotta dig deep here, Carrie. What about a pen company?
I don't want to give actual pin companies credit.
Then make one up. The Mick Pin Company. The Clicky Pin Company, because I'm all about clicky pens.
Yes, I love clicky pens.
Yes, they have to fit on my cargo pocket.
Um, so we're brought to you by something. I don't know. Let me scroll.
Dude, I'm serious. Do the Clicky Pin Company.
Okay.
Do it. Do it. Peer
Okay.
pressure.
Okay. We're brought to you today by the Clicky Pen Company. Nurses love clicking. It makes us feel official and it gives us something to do.
I had to spend the entire shift today with my red pen as a non-clicky pin in my cargo pocket. It was traumatic.
I had one of those old school pens that has like the
Yes.
blue, red, green, black.
Yes, they're becoming
And
vogue again.
oh my gosh, I was loving it. I was just like, click, 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 like all around. Actually interviewed somebody today for a nursing job, and I had that pen while I was writing down my notes. And then my fellow manager was like, after the interview was over, she's like, hey, that was probably not the best pen to have at this interview. And I was like, why? And, and she's
Oh
like, well, for one, it says Methodist on it.
Oh, snap. That's not St. Mungo's.
I was like, oh, true. But Methodist is a good company.
Touche.
It's a good organization.
And what was number 2? Were you doing the click, 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 click?
No, that's as far as, yeah, I think that was probably the second point, but we just were laughing too much about the other
No,
organization.
there's some, I'm a little jealous, actually a lot jealous. There's some on my unit right now that I believe were brought in by a rep. And they are the clicky pins with the black, green, red, and blue, and a pencil. What?
Oh.
Yeah.
What the heck? That's fancy.
Like a mechanical pencil. And I am like, dude, my little junior high mind was like, so I'm trying to figure out how I can procure one of those.
I think you just do a slow walk by.
Drag my hand along the desk.
Yeah. I think that's how it works.
Oh, I got a call light going.
So, do we have any questions from real people?
We do. We have a real question instead of our fake question segment.
We're getting
So,
more questions. Some
I
of these
know.
are still anonymous because we have to protect the identity of these
Yes.
people because
And
their
this is-
questions may make their employers upset.
This is true, and this is actually a question I have gotten from quite a few nurses and coworkers. So this question, it is flu season, as we all know in medicine. We're screening everybody and vaccinating or not vaccinating and declinationing, and so this is a very pertinent topic right now. So this question says, my employer mandates that I get a flu vaccine or else I have to wear a surgical mask in patient care areas for all of flu season. Is this ethical, and is there anything I can do about it? That's a really good question. I
It is.
say,
This is something that I've struggled with, so I want to hear what you have to say.
oh, personally, okay. So I say yes. You may not like it, but I feel it's not an ethics question because we have studies that prove that vaccinations, largely help reduce the transmission, the infectious transmissions of, for instance, influenza. And so we have those studies backing it. It's not just somebody arbitrarily going in and saying, I like flu shots. I have a stock in, the company. We have black and white empirical evidence based practice showing that it helps reduce transmission, between staff, employees, etc. Or patients and whatnot. So I don't believe in ethics question. But then I'm also pro-vaccine, so I could see where people would disagree with that. And as far as making them wear a surgical mask, it's not punitive. It's, once again, okay, if you're not going to be vaccinated to help prevent the transmission of the influenza virus, you're now going to wear a mask because what kind of isolation do we put influenza positive patients on? It's a droplet isolation. So we would be putting the same precaution in place. So you have to wear that mask in patient care areas from September through March. Which is a long time or longer. My hospital actually extended flu season by almost a month this last year because we saw a rise of influenza A at the end of flu season. And so they actually extended
that's
it.
brutal.
Yeah, I know. We were like, oh, man.
Well, I agree. I feel like it is ethical, but I have struggled with this question for many years because it does feel punitive. And full
It does.
disclosure, I really believe in the flu shot. And I was kind of like on the fence before the H1N1 came out. Like I was always was compliant. But even for my own kids, I was like, I don't know. I wasn't like totally bought into it. But then when H1N1 came out, I was doing some rotations in ICU, and I saw young people, not like super young, like babies,
Yes.
but like healthy
Robust.
women my age dying from the flu. And I went that day and took my oldest daughter, who was like the last kid to get vaccinated that year. Like I just had missed her. And we got her vaccine that day. I was just like, it just blew my mind that people were dying of this, because
Right.
that's not what you think of who that affects. And
Right.
so
Especially
I
that
don't think
strain.
it's an ethical issue, but I do feel like it can. I understand why people think it's punitive, because I hate wearing masks. I do not like it. I don't think many people like it.
No.
And to wear it that long and all the time, like
Right.
that's what I've struggled with. Like, how can we, try to get compliance up without making it feel punitive? But in the end, it's like a very highly contagious disease.
It is. It's a horrible virus, and that strain especially was hit targeting very atypical populations, and the very robust, because they were getting that immune response, and then you'd get like an immune suppression, and you'd get that overwhelming immune response, which actually then kick your organs. It was just the weirdest thing, and so that one was really gnarly, and you never know in advance what years you're going to get those. You don't know. You just don't know when you're going to get those strains and those really aberrant viruses. And so,
No. And that
um,
one was so sneaky, because like you're saying,
yes.
like, because of the progression of that virus, like you start feeling better, and then you're intubated in the ICU and may die. Like, it
Right.
is crazy.
It was really bizarre, and so it definitely can feel punitive. I know nurses that have worked for hospitals where previously it was up to you. You could get it or not. You could vaccinate or sign a declination form. You would still have to wear a mask, but you could decline for any reason, just personal preference. And lately, in the last few years, and this is why it's feeling increasingly punitive, I believe, is they're no longer, quote, allowing people to just decline because for the sake of declining, just because they're mildly opposed to it or don't want to be told what to do or whatever. And they're now only allowing a declination if you have like a legit medical contraindication, or if you are religiously opposed to it, and then otherwise you are having to vaccinate, and people are strictly, that is really ticking people off, because some people are like, maybe I just don't want to, and shouldn't that be my right? And I think that's where they feel the ethics come into play, that they're feeling like their employer is, quote, forcing them, because they're not allowing them really to decline, or they're having to go to their physician and say, will you write a note for me because I don't want to do this, and they feel
Yeah.
that that's an ethical issue. And so I can see where the hospitals are just trying to increase compliance rate, because of course people, like you said, people don't like wearing masks. I mean, I'm a peds nurse where we freaking isolate everybody year round. You come in August with an asthma exacerbation and you're going to be on contact droplet precautions. So I'm very used to wearing masks, but I don't love it. And so you don't get it. People aren't always compliant when they should be wearing masks. So you're still going to get transmission. So I see that what the hospitals are trying to do, but I can also see where those individuals feel like they're being forced into being
Yeah.
vaccinated. So,
It's interesting that people are not this vocal against like TB testing,
right.
or like Hep A vaccines, or like it's
They're
weird.
TDAP.
Yeah,
Nobody
like,
cares
but
that they have to have a TDAP.
yeah, but the flu thing is like a hot
Maybe because it's
button.
every year. I don't know. Or they feel like, oh, that one did no good that year because it was just a big guess. I mean, it really is. It's an educated guess and prediction, kind of like the weather.
Yeah. I think
But
part
whereas
of it, even though like people, like we work with highly educated people, what truly is flu is misinterpreted a lot. Like people
Right.
misdiagnose themselves, and so they're like, "I got the flu shot, and
And I
I
got the
got the
flu.
flu anyway." Well, probably you didn't get the flu. You
Right.
probably had a stomach virus, and you think it was the flu.
Right. Because we just
And a
called
lot
it
of
the flu.
people feel like they always get sick after they have the flu shot with the flu,
Yes.
which they have side effects. Like I always get achy and I don't feel great and I have like fatigue for a few days, but that is not the flu.
No.
The flu is different and it is
Well,
worse.
and then there's the fact, and we're trained medical professionals here. We're not, like, I expect a little more education. I don't know. And people are not going to be happy about this, but depending on if you're getting like a flu mist, which is a live virus, you've got live and attenuated viruses that you're receiving. And an injectable vaccine, it is not a live virus with the flu shot. So these symptoms that people, or they say they're getting the flu, it's not like a smallpox vaccine where we're purposefully inducing
Yeah.
a response so you can get antibodies. It's not the way it works. And so I'm kind of like, I want to just tell these people, like, no, you're just wrong. My husband was one of those. He had worked in healthcare before we got married, and he was like, I don't get the flu shot. I don't get the flu shot. I don't like
You're
it. It
like, you
doesn't
do
work.
now, buddy.
It makes me sick. And I'm like, it does not make you, I flat out looked him in the eye and I said, it does not make you sick. It does not make you sick. You cannot get the flu from the flu shot. It is literally impossible. And he was like, it does. And I was like, no, it doesn't. And then we started working for the same employer, and he didn't have a good excuse to decline, and he got it. And I gave it to him. Actually, I gave him the vaccine. I was like, you come up
Nice.
to my floor and I will give you your flu shot. And of course, he didn't get sick, and he did just fine. But now he has gone the other way. He's a total believer, and we have a child who's immunosuppressed, so we're extra conscious in our family, and everybody gets vaccinated, even if we didn't work in healthcare. But we both do, and so he is totally now, in the last like 5 years, he's completely changed his tune. So, but yeah, I was like, no, no, you do not. Because he was my husband, so I could totally say that. So anyway, I could see where it certainly feels like an ethical issue to this, to our fans who've been asking this question. But once again, we have evidence-based practice that shows otherwise. And so if you don't like it, I guess you certainly have the choice of wearing a mask, but that does, it feels kind of like, you're a teenager being punished by your parents because you made a choice they didn't approve of.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I guess maybe don't work in acute care if you're really opposed. And that sounds, I don't mean that to sound bratty, but that's just the way the trend is going.
Yeah.
And
There's certain concessions that you have to make
yeah,
to work in a hospital. So that's just one of them, and it's coming from the CDC, and it's not going to change.
nope, it's not going away.
Sorry,
So,
I don't like wearing the mask either.
you
Sorry.
know, yeah, no fun. It's certainly, they're hot and sweaty and yucky, but maybe draw a face on it or something. I would do that in peds. I'd put little crayon drawing. So, all right. Well, did we miss anything?
Um, I think that we answered the heck out of that question just great.
I think we did.
I have a really interesting news story about nurses in the news. Do you want to hear
Oh,
about
good.
it?
Yes, I do.
Okay. This only happened 2 days ago, so this is really fresh news.
I know I may have kind of peaked because I am so excited. I was like, "Oh, scandalous!"
Yeah. So I don't know if any of you in our listenership have ever gotten a letter from a lawyer asking you if you've had your break. I have, and
For
I've
real?
probably thrown it away. Yes.
No way.
Yes, I've thrown it away because I'm like, whatever, lame. I'm not going to sue my hospital. That's not my thing. Anyway, but in Tacoma, Washington, St. Joseph's Medical Center just had a $5 million settlement over break relief for nurses.
Yes.
From nurses not getting lunches and not getting paid for lunches. That's the big thing. They're not getting paid for lunches.
Right. Or any break for that matter. And I'm like, you go, girls. That is awesome. See, I am totally opposite of you. And because I have felt pressured many, many times not to take a break, not even to pee on my shift. Not like somebody told me I couldn't pee, but that you just don't have that support. And so I saw this and I geeked out.
I'm like, but when you read the art, we'll like link to this article because it's very interesting. And because, I mean, sometimes like I don't like lawsuits unless it is like really, really, really serious because we're such a litigious nation, and especially working in women's health and obstetrics, like it it is really, really hard because of all the lawyers.
Right.
But I'm not saying there's no value in it because there definitely is. And so this is going to start ripple effects
Yes.
everywhere because
And it
everybody
needs
is
to.
going to be looking at this. And so I don't want everyone to join on the bandwagon and start suing their hospitals, but hospital systems are going to start looking at what is being done here. And so in Tacoma, it's not like all these nurses are just getting a ton of money. They are
Right.
putting in place processes so that
system.
this doesn't happen anymore. And so
Right.
they're adding new nurses into the system. And basically, the whole point of this was they were understaffed.
Right.
They were understaffed, and so they couldn't take their breaks. And
They were
it was kind of
discouraged
just
in
like,
taking their breaks.
yeah, and so they are addressing that, and they have to finish this. They're doing this block break system where there's people that come and their job is to relieve people for breaks.
Right.
And I think like I've worked in places where we actually have like break relief nurses. So this is not something like totally unique but it's something that's not universal by far.
Right. And in our hospital, it's per department. So, like the ER and the ORs have the break relief system, and because they're very high volume, constant turnover, it's a 24/7. Not that the hospital's not 24/7, but that high volume can continue literally around the clock. And it works really, really well. And then other units don't have it. And it is a struggle. It really is. And I like how they defined that breaks are to be at least 15 continuous minutes without work-related responsibilities. So you can't be at lunch and be required to be answering your phone or get up and answer your call lights because you're not getting a break. And I also see the carry through here that if you're not getting that downtime to decompress and take care of your self needs, you're more at risk of making mistakes.
Yes,
You're going to be more
absolutely.
fatigued. You're going to be hypoglycemic. Your brain is going to be in your bladder. You're going to need to go pump, whatever it is. And that they were saying in this hospital that these nurses were considered anytime where they were talking about non-work related issues with a coworker or even eating a snack, it was being considered a break. And whether we're talking like their paid 15-minute break, their paid 15-minute breaks or even their lunches, that they were being discouraged to actually take these breaks. So this seems like a very valid complaint to me. And I would assume if it got to the point that there was a lawsuit filed that other channels had been tried, or at least, of course, I would hope so,
I hope
and
so.
that it had fallen on deaf ears. So I feel sometimes it is appropriate, and that's where nursing unions, and this was actually, I think, the board of nursing for that state intervened on their behalf, because it seemed like it was a big issue where, like you said, Carrie, they were understaffed. And I was excited to see this because we as nurses are put in, and we've spoken to this numerous times, put in very hard working conditions, and we are very sacrificial and willingly so, and we have a hard time speaking up for ourselves, and that we need to, and we need somebody to back us because this needed to happen. I'm sure there were quality problems that there could not have been where something had been missed or somebody suffered from this. So I think this was very legit, and I was really excited to read this article because I've been in that position where I've felt pressured not to take my breaks, or not even pressured, but not that I just didn't have the resources to take my break. Nobody was telling me I couldn't, but nobody was supporting me to do it either, and that's a very frustrating place to be in.
It is, and I've been there. I've definitely been there. I think also that there's, and I'm not saying I don't know enough about this case to really speak to what the nurses could or couldn't do, but
Mm-hmm.
I know I have put pressure on myself in the past to not take breaks.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to take responsibility. And we've talked about this before too. Take your own responsibility to get what you need, and that includes a break. Like,
Right.
there's resources most of the time.
Should
I'm
be.
not saying all the time. Sometimes work is just short and there is nobody and you're not eating unless you're
Right. And the
like,
whole house is like that.
yeah, I'm not talking about those times. I'm talking most of the time where we're putting pressure on ourselves to, you're the only person that can take care of this patient, or,
Right. We don't like
I
asking for
don't
help.
trust anybody to watch my patient because they're just so critical. Well, that's silly because everyone
We
on the
should all be.
floor is a nurse.
Right.
You should be able to go, and take a break. And if you're
Y-
not, then you need to really, you need to talk to your leadership because that's a problem.
Right. And if it's a consistent thing, and I think it's kind of sad. I mean, we almost joke about it or almost brag about it even. Like there have been days that I have gone home, and as I've gone home, I'm like, I don't remember the last time I peed. And then I
Yeah.
realize I didn't pee for 13 hours today. That is not good. That is not healthy, but we almost kind of wear it as a badge of honor. We're complaining about it, but at the same time, it's like a my dad is bigger than your dad thing.
No, you're absolutely right.
What other job do you do that? That's insanity. I didn't eat for 13 hours. I didn't pee. What the heck? That means you also didn't drink, by the way. And so it's unreal. I have a personal story, not myself, but somebody I knew that's kind of related to this. Because one thing that they noted in here that oh, good golly, I don't want to get this wrong. That they were not allowed to go on a break unless they gave a full report or a report to another nurse to be responsible for their patients, which of course sometimes is very difficult when you've got a busy group and everybody else does too. And so I knew a nurse who worked in a different unit than I did. And the policy is you have to tell another RN. You don't have to give them a report on your group, but you have to tell another RN if you're leaving the floor so somebody can be watching your patients. Otherwise, it's considered patient abandonment.
Yeah.
And somebody has to know that you're not there, even if it's like I'm going to eat lunch. I mean, if you're just running to the bathroom, okay, not really, but if you're leaving the floor, you need to tell another RN, not the unit clerk, not your CNA. You need to tell a nurse, and because they need the license to be able to be like, oh no, Erin's not here, that's her patient crapping out, somebody needs to do something. Not that they wouldn't. Anyhow, I digress. This nurse, I think her husband showed up with her keys and was like down in the lobby, and I think called on her work extension and was like, hey, can you run down and get your keys? And so the nurse did, and she told someone when she left, and it might have been her CNA or the unit clerk, I don't recall, but I don't believe it was another RN. Because like she couldn't find somebody and the charge nurse was busy or whatever. So just like, hey, I'm running down to the lobby and I'm gonna grab my keys from my husband. I'll be right back. She was gone for less than 5 minutes. I mean, it might have been 2 or 3. Well, in the process, when she went down there, grabbed her keys from her hubby, hey, thanks, gave him a quick smooch, went back up to the floor, took care of her patient, things went on. Well, one of her patient's family members came in and saw her down there in the lobby getting her keys, and getting a smooch. And I mean, they weren't like getting hot and heavy. It was literally just a peck. Complained to the charge nurse that she wasn't up there taking care of their family member, who's taking care of my XYZ while they're not on the floor. This led to a charge filed of patient abandonment and this nurse's dismissal.
What?
Yes. It was absolutely, and of course, I don't know the ins and outs of the entire case because I wasn't on a board of review, but essentially, and there was no injury, there was no patient, there was no problem that even happened. It wasn't even like a good catch, near miss situation. But it led to this nurse's dismissal, and I had worked with this nurse, and this was a good nurse. who was not neglectful at all. And it went to the point that it went above and beyond the director's head. It went clear, like, up the hospital chain, and this nurse was dismissed for it.
Oh yeah, sometimes it gets beyond where you can even control it as a leader. If
It went
gets
nuts.
yeah, if it gets too far, like you don't even really, honestly, you don't even have input into what happens anymore.
And it
That's
was
really
sad because to me
unfortunate.
it was very unfortunate. It felt almost like a witch hunt because nothing happened. This was completely fine. This nurse was not like negligent. This nurse did not abandon her patient assignment. Um, it it was just, so to me that's kind of being a little absurd, saying where, I don't know, to me you're just jumping to conclusions there. So anyways, this kind of reminded me of that situation. But regardless, kind of coming back for full circle, it's an issue. I think nurses worldwide, I don't think this is just, left into America, but we often, like you said, we pressure ourselves, Carrie. So
We
hopefully
do.
this
So we need
will
to
give a
be
ripple
mindful of
effect.
that. But I think this is going to change how nurses are treated. And I think, I mean, similar, like, I can't even say that word.
Similarly,
Yeah, the same kind of thing happened with medical residents, where they were forced to be
Right.
on call for like days at a time, and they were just like awake, 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 and that changed because it was dangerous, and
It was
that's not the
so
best
dangerous.
learning environment. Although some physicians, a lot of physicians would completely disagree that that is a good learning environment because you're
Yeah, it was
learning
like
by
hazing.
fire.
yes.
Yeah, but I mean that is totally changed from what it was in the past, and I think like for the better. Like I can't
Yes.
imagine going through medical school and being subjected like to that amount of like sleep deprivation.
Right. Well, especially as a new doctor who's learning. You're not an experienced 30-year physician who has this wealth of knowledge to fall back on. They really need to
No.
be, not that every doctor doesn't need to be at the top of their game, but they really need to have their faculties with them. So,
Yeah, and not just that, like it extends into, I don't want to get too much on this tangent, but it extended into like, I mean, they were delaying having children, like especially women, like, if it was a male, like their wives could go ahead and have kids while they're in med school, but for women it was really delaying, like they were putting off having children years because they knew that they couldn't do it like
right.
while
It just
they're
was not possible.
in residency because it wasn't fair to them or their baby. But now I see lots of residents being able to, continue their families in a timeline that they choose instead of like I have to put it off. So I think sometimes these big shakeups they're for the best, even though they're uncomfortable at the time and create a lot of
Right.
strife. But they're eventually it gets us to where we need to go.
Right. I agree. So, all right. Well, that was a really good article, Carrie. Thanks for bringing that to light.
You're welcome.
All right. Well,
someone emailed that to me actually.
for real? That came from
Yeah.
one of our listeners? Thank you. That was great. I love it. And when I saw that, and I was like, oh, I got so excited. All right.
What did we learn today? We haven't
We
done,
have
we
learned a
haven't
lot.
learned stuff lately. We haven't talked about that. What did we learn today?
we have learned that we as nurses need to be advocating for ourselves and our needs with our breaks and our personal. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. I don't know, Carrie. Good land. I don't know.
Well, you learned why I wear my pearls.
Yeah, I did. I learned why you wear your pearls. I learned all about nursing superstitions, and I really enjoyed that one quite thoroughly.
Yeah, you learned about the rodeo.
Yes, I did. The real rodeo.
Well, what did I learn? I learned that you feel very strongly about the flu vaccine, which I really didn't know.
Well, there you go. Okay.
Yes. Very good. Well, it was a
Anything
great podcast. I think we had a good time.
We did. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Be sure to find us on Stat Sisters or on Facebook or at statsisters.com and check us out. Give us your feedback. Let us know what you think. We look forward to hearing from you. And I think that's it.
All right. Well, have a great week. Bye, everybody. See you next week.
Bye. See you later.